we have been informed by very important sources on the other side, and they've said the killing is stopped and the executions won't take place. There was supposed to be a lot of executions today, and that the executions won't take place. And we're gonna find out. I mean, I'll find out after this. You'll find out. But we've been told on good authority, and I hope it's true. U.S. President Donald Trump said Wednesday that killings linked to Iran's nationwide crackdown are subsiding. He claimed there was no plan for mass executions of protesters, citing information received by his administration. But Trump stopped short of ruling out military action, even as analysts warned that U.S. intervention could trigger a wider conflict. Mr. President, on Iran, you said that the killing has stopped. Who told you that the killings have stopped? We have been informed by very important sources on the other side, and they've said the killing has stopped and the executions won't take place. There was supposed to be a lot of executions today, and that the executions won't take place. And we're gonna find out. I mean, I'll find out after this. You'll find out. But we've been told on good authority, and I hope it's true. Who knows? Who knows? We crazy money bags. So how do you Trump? No, you've seen that over the last few days, and they said people were shooting at them with guns, and it was shooting back, and it's one of those things. But they told me that there'll be no executions, and so I hope that's true. This military action is now off the table against Iran, but we're going to watch and see what the process is. But we were given a very good statement by people that are aware of what's going on. All these considering military action, when they say no executions, everyone's talking about a lot of executions were taking place today. We were just told no executions. I hope that's true. That's a big thing, yes. The remarks came amid growing concern in the Middle East that American strikes on Iran remain a real possibility. In contrast, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee said Washington currently has no plans to intervene militarily. I don't think it's something the United States is actively engaged in trying to hasten anything. It's a matter of respect, and this is how President Trump has framed it. He certainly wants there to be recognition that the government of Iran should not murder its own people, should not injure them and hurt them, because they're protesting. They have a right to protest, and they're protesting about legitimate thing. I don't think that right now the U.S. or Israel is making plans to engage. I don't know what may happen. I simply don't know. I would be totally out of my league if I said, here's what will happen. We don't know. But I'm not hearing anything at this point where America is preparing to engage militarily. If they change their mind, I'm sure they'll tell us all. But right now, it's really a matter of watching what is an organic movement coming up from very, very disgruntled, rightfully so, Iranian people who have decided that they can't keep going on like this. Iranian officials directly contradicted Trump's claims, signaling that fast-track trials and executions remain imminent. Tehran also warned it would retaliate if the United States or Israel intervened in what it calls domestic unrest. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi attempted to lower tensions, urging Washington to pursue negotiation rather than force, and is currently considering taking some form of action to support the protesters on the ground. If you have a message you'd like to convey to him, what exactly would that message be? My message is, do not repeat the same mistake that you did in June. If you try a failed experience, you will always get the same result, and determination also cannot be bombed. Now Iran has proved to be ready for negotiation for diplomacy. We have proved that in the past 20 years, in 2015, and will be again in 2025 every single time. But it was the US who always escaped from diplomacy, who cut the diplomacy short and opted for war. Meanwhile, Iran abruptly shut its airspace to commercial flights for several hours without explanation. Tehran temporarily closed its airspace for more than 2 hours, allowing only limited international flights with special clearance, according to flight tracking data. The protests now represent the gravest challenge to Iran's clerical leadership since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Officials say more than 2,000 people have died, while rights groups believe the true toll is far higher. With airspace closures, threats of retaliation, and conflicting U.S. signals, the region remains dangerously close to escalation. The White House is once again standing at the edge of war. President Donald Trump has signaled that the United States may step in to assist anti-government protesters in Iran, as unrest there enters its third violent week, and the death toll reportedly climbs into the thousands. According to the Washington Post, senior administration officials on Tuesday convened behind closed doors to weigh military and non-military options, without the president in the room. Trump, meanwhile, sent a message that negotiations with Tehran are over. In a blunt social media post early Tuesday, the president said he had canceled all meetings with Iranian officials. Hours later, he escalated the rhetoric even further, declaring online, "Help is on its way," followed by a slogan echoing his own political brand, "Make Iran Great Again." But behind the scenes, the picture is far less certain. The Washington Post reported that Trump is privately conflicted. Some advisors describe his mood as cautious, even hesitant, a sharp contrast to the confidence he projected before authorizing U.S. bombings of Iran's nuclear facilities last June. The stakes could not be higher. Activists and opposition outlets operating under an Iranian government internet blackout estimate around 12,000 people have been killed as security forces crush demonstrations. Trump has repeatedly warned that continued violence against protesters could trigger U.S. military action. Yet many of his political allies are urging restraint. They warn that striking Iran could entangle the U.S. in another prolonged Middle Eastern conflict, the very scenario Trump once promised to avoid under his America First doctrine. Critics fear a miscalculation, a failed operation, or the collapse of Iran's government could leave behind chaos, civil war, or an even more radical regime. National Security Council officials are preparing options ranging from harsher economic sanctions and cyber attacks to direct strikes against Iranian security forces. European allies say Washington has quietly asked for intelligence on potential targets, though officials insist nuclear facilities are not currently on the list. Iran's defenses are already weakened after Israeli airstrikes last year and a brief U.S.-Israeli war in June. But the Pentagon remains deeply concerned about retaliation. American military assets in the region are limited, stretched thin by recent operations in Venezuela. Despite the public saber-rattling, diplomacy appears frozen. Gulf states like Oman and Qatar have attempted to mediate and received no response. Inside Trump's own coalition, the fault lines are growing. Steve Bannon has warned that intervention would prolong the problem, while others cautioned that Trump risks alienating his MAGA base if American troops or aircraft are drawn into another war. For now, the president is keeping his intentions deliberately vague, but as protests rage, bodies mount, and the world watches, the question remains unanswered: whether Donald Trump will step back or push the United States into yet another conflict. So we had great numbers introduced today. We had a wonderful speech in front of great people in Detroit, and mostly in the car business, and we're setting records in manufacturing. It's going very well. I think people appreciated what I had to say in terms of the numbers. So we're very happy about that. I'm going back to the White House now. We're going to look at the whole situation that's going on in Iran. It's really bad stuff. And Minnesota's gonna have to take care of itself for a little while. We have tremendous theft and fraud going on in that state because you have an incompetent governor, grossly incompetent governor, and a corrupt governor. But we'll straighten that out. But Iran is on my mind when I see the kind of death that is happening over there, we think. So we're going to get some accurate numbers. I'll have it in about 20 minutes. We'll get some accurate numbers as to what's happening with regard to the killing. The killing looks like it's significant, but we don't know yet for certain. I'll know within 20 minutes. So I hate to worry, and we'll act accordingly. I hate to worry so that U.S. airstrikes, when it comes to that, will achieve, will protect, will have the result of protecting the protest. Well, you never know, do you? You never know. Do you think it's so far my track record's been excellent, but you never know? Do you think it's going to be something kinetic like that or more like cyber? Well, I can't tell you that. I know exactly what it would be. We have to make a decision, sir. But I can't be, obviously, I can't be telling you hi, Mike. Yeah. Iran says that it will retaliate in the instance of U.S. strikes against U.S. assets in the Middle East. What do you say to U.S. service members about why it is worth the risk to intervene in Iran? Yeah, Iran said that the last time I blew him up with the nuclear capability, that which you don't have any longer. So Iran said that the last time they better behave. Mr. President, yep. So Mr. President, on Iran, do you have a message for the leaders currently of Iran? Yeah, the message is they've got to show humanity. They've got a big problem. And I hope they're not going to be killing people, and I'm going to have a report very soon. It would seem to me that they have been badly misbehaving, but that is not confirmed. So are you betting not sending U.S. troops into Iran? Why would I tell you that? Why would it hurt us? Mr. President, I don't talk about military strategy with a reporter, you know, you President. Even though I do like the financial touch, President, are you consulting with our allies in Iran? What are they telling you? And why do you think you... Well, I'm not going to tell you what they're telling me. I have to tell you what they're... If you're reading here, can you see the fight? Mr. President? Do you think they are? Well, it's only been a couple of days. I said, you to kill Well, they said that about Venezuela, too, you know? It's only been a couple of days. They haven't defied me. They haven't done anything, as far as we're concerned. But it looks like they're killing a lot of people. But it has not been confirmed. I'll know very soon. Lancer, the premier of Lancer today, he prefers to stay with Jeddah. Who said that? The premier of Greenland. Well, that's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with him. I don't know who he is. Don't know anything about him. But that's going to be a big problem for him. Do you want to see democracy in Iran? Ideally, you'd like to see it, but what we want to see is we don't want to see people killed. And we want to see a little bit of freedom for these people. These people have been living in hell for a long time. You know, that used to be a hell of a country. I have friends that used to invest in Iran. And they did well with their investments. It was a great place. The people were great. Even the leadership was good. And now it's living in hell. Thank you very much, everybody.